Good morning, this is Jerry Zremski coming to you from the Buffalo News Washington Bureau. I'm here once again to tell you what's happening in the week ahead in the nation's capital as far as Buffalo is concerned, and once again there's plenty. I hope that this will be the last time that I have to talk to you about congressional redistricting for, maybe another 10 years. I am expecting a 3-judge panel in New York City to make a decision very soon, possibly as soon as today, about our new congressional lines in New York State. And once that happens, it's off to the races. We're looking like we're going to be having some very interesting congressional races in Western New York this time around. And the story that we'll do, that I'm working on right now, is going to be previewing them really for the first time. So that will be my first and foremost priority today. And tomorrow, I'm really going to have some very different things to do. I have 2 hearings that I have to cover. The first one in the morning is a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing, where several senators, including Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, are likely to be very, very critical of the U.S. Air Force for its plan to cut the National Guard, including, of course, the National Guard unit we care about most in Buffalo, New York, the 107th Airlift Wing in Niagara Falls. So I think that's going to be a very interesting and telling hearing that gives us a sense of how concerned members of the U.S. Senate are about that plan to cut National Guard units. I will tell you, I'm getting the sense that the concern stretches way past New York to many other states that have had Guard units trimmed as well. And we're going to find out the depth of that concern tomorrow. Then in the afternoon tomorrow, I have another hearing I have to cover. This is a Senate Commerce Committee hearing on aviation safety. It's essentially an update on where things stand 3 years after the crash of Flight 3407 in Clarence and almost 2 years after legislation was passed aimed at correcting all of the safety flaws that became apparent in wake of that crash. So that too should be an interesting hearing. Beyond that, I'll be meeting with Congressman Brian Higgins to talk about some new legislation that he's going to be proposing. And then later in the week, as I've mentioned before, turning a clearer focus to the New York presidential primary in late April. That is going to be becoming more and more central to the news as the weeks go forward, and actually more and more central to the battle for the Republican presidential nomination. So there are several possible stories that we can end up doing on that. So we'll be taking a look at that and seeing how things are going. Like I said, it's going to be a very interesting and newsy week here in Washington, and I do hope you'll be reading my stories, and I hope you'll tune in again next week. Thanks.